Hello my beautiful people, so welcome to the next in the series of All About the Signs. So today is all about Scorpio, sign of Scorpio, and I have a deep love and a deep affection for Scorpios because I know quite a few of you guys, so I really hope that I do you justice. And I just want to say before we go forward, my voice is 1 in 7 billion, and in terms of astrology, tarot, numerology, all of that stuff, mine is just one voice in a sea of many. It is not supposed to be my word is law. Everything about these forms, these arts and sciences that we call the esoteric or the occult world, they're just potentials, right? These are, and you could never ever hone in on a single sign and speak everything about them in a single 20-minute video. It just isn't possible. As human beings, we are all so much bigger and broader than what our correspondences are. So this is supposed to be fun, it's supposed to be informative, it's supposed to give you a little glimpse and an insight if you have Scorpio energy in your chart. I mean, everybody does, but if you are a sun, moon or rising Scorpio, a mix of those or all three, you know, you never know. And with that said, like I said, it's supposed to be fun, informative. It's supposed to just give you a different perspective and give you some tools for understanding yourself if you have this energy, or somebody else that you know. You know, it could be a family member, it could be a friend, it could be a partner, or any of the above. So with that said, let's delve into it. So Scorpio, the sign of Scorpio, this here is the glyph for Scorpio. So when you're looking at astrological charts, you know, write-ups, draw-ups, and you see this symbol, that's what you're looking at, the sign of Scorpio itself. Scorpio is a water sign, and it is the fixed water sign. So fixed signs, you tend to find them, well, not tend to, you do find them in the middle of a season. There is a strength and a stability to them. There is a constancy about them because they hold space. They hold space for a specific type of element or energy. So when we talk about fixed signs, that's what we're talking about, you know. And this here, this guy, is represents the ruler of Scorpio, which happens to be, in its modern association, the ruler of Scorpio is actually Pluto. And Pluto as a planet, I won't go too much into this because I'm going to do the planets separately as well, is all about transformation. It's about the underworld. It's also known in mythology as Hades, right? So it does rule the deeper and darker aspects, sometimes the taboo aspects. It can rule sex and death, intensity, desire, and all of those things. And we will delve into that as we look at the sign itself. So with that said, a couple of things that I want to mention about Scorpio. We all know the buzzwords about them, which I will talk about in its ancient astrological association. Scorpio was actually ruled by Mars. So Mars and so Scorpio and Aries shared that planet at one point, and Pluto is known as the higher octave of Mars. So with that said, let's look at this. And Scorpio as a sign, I've always believed, and I've got this here, I've always believed that Scorpios come into the world already enlightened. Scorpio rules the 8th house, which is where you find all of the deep, dark sort of stuff. And, you know, it holds many taboos, many mysteries and all of that stuff. And these are things that you associate with the sign of Scorpio. With that said, it is also worth mentioning that when I say they come into the world born enlightened, it's because to hold space for such an energy of intensity and sometimes darkness, you know, and I mean that in the broadest and most beautiful sense. You have to have something within you that is resistant to that, that is able to, buzzword, transform or transmute that energy. Right, so I've split the all of the associations into your blessings and your lessons, and the reason I've done this is we are all so self-deprecating, especially in this modern world, right? And so the reason I call the more unconscious or the more unconscious traits the lessons are, because if you can learn to work with that energy, or you can catch yourself in it, you have a chance to do what Scorpio does best, which is to transcend and also to transmute or transform that energy into something else. To be forewarned is to be forearmed, right? So I split them into your blessings and your lessons. So the blessings of Scorpio are honesty. Now, a lot of people people talk about, oh, you know, Scorpio and secrecy and all of that stuff, and it is really true. However, with that ability to come into the world enlightened, to hold all of the mysteries, to hold space for all of the mysteries, and also to delve into them, to go where where most people dare not to tread, you know, where angels fear to tread, you will find Scorpio energy, right? There comes an ability to be very, very honest, very clear cut, which is why some people are like, oh, you know, they will tell you straight. And one of the things I have said and will always say, in terms of being read by somebody, you don't ever want to be read by a water sign or an air sign. The water signs will read you to filth because they will start going for all of those chinks in your armor that nobody else really sees. They will hone in on what they feel, and they can sometimes use that ability to be very accurate in their deductions. For the air signs, it tends to be, I will talk straight facts at you until I get you to understand where I'm coming from. So honesty is something that I believe is definitely innate with a Scorpio. Private, they are very private, and this delves into the hidden aspect, the mysterious aspect, where they are connected to all of the things that people don't necessarily talk about, and we'll get into that as well. So privacy is a big thing for them, you know, hiding things that they believe should not be just for anybody's eyes. They can be very selective in that way, and for that reason, very, very private. You may think you know a Scorpio, but there are always deeper layers and deeper undercurrents with this sign that may not necessarily be present on on the horizon or out in the open. Scorpio is deep, very deep sign, you know, really deep thinkers and very deep feelers. And one of the things I believe about Scorpios as well is they feel like, some people say, oh, you know, they can be really cold, which we'll talk about. I believe that very often one of the reasons Scorpios come across as unfeeling is because they feel at such a deep level that it goes so deep within them that they feel energies, emotions, that they hold space for things within themselves. It goes so deep that sometimes it takes them to a point of actually being numb. So really deep, very penetrating is another word that you would associate with Scorpio. They go in for the kill. There is nothing superficial about Scorpio. They hate superficiality, and for that reason they are very deep. There is a true intensity with Scorpio energy as well. If you don't meet their gaze, they will pick up on what it is that you are hiding. So this depth and intensity is actually a blessing to you guys, because you can use it for a plethora of different things. Powerful. The 8th house is where you find power dynamics, the power of relationships and how things work between people. It's also where you find monetary stuff as well. You know, in terms of the 8th house, it's always about other people's money. So this could be tax, it could be inheritance, all of that stuff. They have an innate understanding of how to generate money, and also how to keep it, how to hold on to it or squirrel it away so that nobody gets an eye on it, and that comes into the privacy as well. So I talked about the bit of being born enlightened, and I believe that when you carry an energy as heavy as this, you need to have something inbuilt in you in order to transcend or transform that energy. So I believe they come into the world very enlightened. They can think and feel at a very deep level, and for that reason, there is when you can do something like that and focus on something so hard and so acutely, there comes some form of enlightenment or wisdom from that. Brave. Scorpio will never run from a fight. They will fight, they will stand up to whatever and whoever presents them with a challenge. There is nothing about a Scorpio that is weak, or there is nothing about a Scorpio that is cowardly either. They will really stand up and go to war for anything. I mean, in terms of bravery as well, a Scorpion will sting itself to death, right, if it's backed into a corner and it knows, you know what, I will take myself out. I won't give you the opportunity to do that to me. So very, very brave as a Scorpio. Courageous for that same reason. If they see injustices or they see something that they don't like happening to somebody else, they will be right up there. They will go and they will be courageous enough to speak out, to speak up, to stand up, to be counted. There is a real energy of that in them. There is a protective energy about Scorpio that I truly love. When it comes to me and mine, the people that I put under my wing, the people people that I put under my banner or put under the title of my people, oof, you never want to cross a Scorpio's family or loved ones, because they have a deeply protective nature for those things. Sexual and sensual, you know, in the 8th house, and especially with Scorpio, you find sexual energy, sensual energy, the you know, the true physical and sensual pleasures of life, of the earth, of our physical bodies. Sexual energy, sexual intensity is important to a Scorpio, because it's one of the ways that they express their very deep feelings, their very deep connections. You know, some people say like, oh, you know, well, they'll sleep with anybody. I don't think it's that. I feel like Scorpios are able to meet that vibration and therefore step into sexual encounters easier than most, because they can see and feel that energy around people. You know, in the 8th house as well as with Scorpio, you find sex, death, all of the taboos, all of the things that are like, ooh, you know, what's mysterious about life. Acute and mysterious, right? So acute is that whole idea of penetrating, really getting to the core and honing into something. You know, in terms of lies, deceit, all of that stuff, they can sniff that stuff out from a mile away, because they are so acute and exacting on things. They really do have an energy and an ability to get right to the point of what the matter is. Psychology is found in the 8th house as well, and through Scorpio, you know, really getting to the bottom of what actually is, going deep into the subconscious. These are all things that you find under this sign. Mysterious. They have a natural air of mystery about them, and they have an innate understanding of the mysteries of life and death. And for that reason, Scorpio has a very mysterious and even mystical quality to it. In the 8th house, you also find that stuff, you know, magic, the occult, all of those secret wisdoms, secret doctrines, anything that is considered hidden as well, you will find here with the sign of Scorpio. So lots and lots of blessings there that can be utilized. I mean, they make brilliant detectives or police officers, all of that sort of stuff, because they have an instinct for what is out of place or what might not be coming correct, so to speak. So the lessons. When we talk about the lessons, these are some of the unconscious traits that might be there. Things that you can, if you really look at yourself and delve into yourself and understand yourself, which is the way you know the world and other people and also the universe, the lessons come when we are either unconscious or we are doing something unconsciously. And if you can spot this stuff within yourself, you have a real chance and a real ability to transform this energy. So suspicious, right? A Scorpio will sniff you out. You know, if somebody says to a Scorpio, I just want to get to know you, they're like, why? I got you, I see you. You know, they have that a real feeling of that energy. You know, there go the sirens as I mentioned that. So suspicious for sure. Controlling. This comes down to the you know, the ability to want to control a situation or to be controlling. Sometimes even find possessiveness in a Scorpio as well. And when we talk about controlling, it's about standing back and seeing things. And if they need to, they will manipulate a situation or a person to get what it is that they want. They have an innate understanding of how to drill down or to hone into something. And for that reason, you know, they tend to have in an unconscious trait that ability to be controlling or even manipulative. Again, these are the unconscious traits of Scorpio. This doesn't say that you're like this all the time. It just says that if you're maybe not conscious of something or you are going through something difficult, these energies may pop up inside you. Drawn to the dark, so anything forbidden, anything hidden, people that are a bit dangerous, a bit shifty, a bit dodgy, you know, and situations that offer that as well, you know, some of the lustier sexual appetites and all of that stuff. You'll find all of that stuff within Scorpio, and they tend to be drawn to the darkness because it's an energy that they understand how to navigate. And for that reason, as psychologists, psychiatrists, they can really help people transmute a lot of these energies within themselves, to really get to the deep and the dark of it, right? To really look at that stuff and bring it into the light. So when I say you're drawn to this stuff, it doesn't necessarily mean that you are a part of it, but it does say that you can get down there, and you will get down and dirty in there where most people will fear to tread. Some of the other things about Scorpio: cruel and callous. You know, like I said, you never want to be read by a water sign, especially a Scorpio, because if they see that chink in your armor, they know where to ram the rod or the sword home, so that they will strike what they need to strike. And cruelty can come into this because, like I said, this where feelings become so deep and so intense that they just kind of are able to switch it off. And for that reason, there can come sort of a very cruel outlook, or sometimes they can be cruel in the way that they approach things. And in terms of callous, that honesty and intensity, coupled with this ability to kind of hone in on something. Sometimes even throwaway comments from a Scorpio can be like, oh, I think I just lost a finger. Like really, they will go in for it. Revengeful. A Scorpio will never forget. Yeah, the saying goes, people never forget how you treated them or how you make them feel. This is doubly, triply, tenfold true for a Scorpio. If you wrong them or cross them and you make them hurt in some way, they can sometimes really seek to go to town on you, to return the energy that you try to settle or impart on them. So just keep that in mind. Closed. They can be very closed. If they don't know you, this whole thing of privacy, secrecy, suspicion, if they don't know you, you're not getting anything. They are a closed book. There are some signs that are open books. You get what you see. Scorpio is not one of them. They will remain closed to you until they know that they can trust you, which is another buzzword for Scorpio's trust, innate trust. And they know very, very quickly. A Scorpio will know straight away if I can trust this person or not. And they, I could go on. Secretive, yeah, absolutely. You'll never get all of the full truth, especially if they know they can't trust you. That really is the way that it is, and they are very good at compartmentalizing certain aspects of self or life. They know how to keep this stuff secret if they need to. And I remember I was talking with a bunch of friends, and they were saying a Scorpio, an unconscious Scorpio could have a second family. They could be married with kids and have another marriage and kids going on as well, because of that ability to compartmentalize and keep things a secret. And then finally, cold. Scorpio is like ice as well. If they don't like you, if they don't mix with you, or if they say, as they say, I don't fuck with you, they can be very, very cold, very exacting in that way, and stand off straight away, just kind of like, it's like, once I zip you out, you ain't getting into my bubble, you ain't getting into my circle, and that is kind of it. So these are some of the blessings and the lessons that you have. And the lessons, like I said, they are potentials to be expressed when we are either hurt, unconscious of how we can behave, or what we are, or who we are as well. Some of this stuff can come up. It doesn't mean that you're like this all the time, but these are some of the traits that you can express in the unconscious or heavier energies side of Scorpio. Now, one of the things I don't have here that I should definitely mention is, like I was talking about with Pluto, the ability to transform, to change something into another. The Death card in Tarot is ruled by Scorpio. It rules the sign of Scorpio, and death is always about a transition, a change of one thing into another thing. When one door closes, another one opens. The original glyph for a Scorpio was the phoenix, the ability to burst into glorious flame and say, right, I'm done with that. That was then and this is now, and I am choosing to rise up and to ascend. And that is such a beautiful emblem. It's such a wonderful expression of human life and potential potential, the ability to say, right, okay, I'm done with all of that, I'm going to shed that skin and I am going to rise like the phoenix to become a bright, brilliant new self, new person. Nobody does reinvention like you guys, because it is written into your star sign DNA. So as I said, there are so many bright and wonderful aspects to this really beautiful sign. It's not all about the deep, the dark and the secretive. There are many other gifts that you guys have. Like I said, I can't fit it all into one 20-minute video, so I hope you have found this fun. I hope you found it informative and it helps you on your journey in some way, whether you are a Scorpio, have a lot of Scorpio energy, or you know somebody that is, or you're trying to get closer to somebody that is. So with that said, I wish you an abundance of all of that good stuff. Take care, and I will see you for the next in the series.